3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Auto Fade Podcast with Stoney and the Kid, where every game is a lock and every bet is a sweat.
All right, Stoney, we're back. We get to do our favorite thing all week, and that's talk ball. Week 11. Interesting week in the NFL. Feel really good about where we're at in the season. We're starting to click a little bit. Hit us with the recap and kind of where we're at in the season.
Yeah, so starting with myself, I went 2-3. I'm now 27-23 overall, which is 54%. My favorite was Cincy, -6.5. They lost outright. Bad read. CJ Stroud is that guy. Won't be fading him until maybe this week, but we'll get into that. Dog of the week, Jacksonville +3. Worst read of the week. We actually both liked it, so I saved you from a loser there. My total was the Raiders team total under 17.5. A little sweaty, but it got done late. My teaser, Carolina +9, covered on Thursday Night Football. The Titans +7.5. Levis laid an egg. And then looking at my play of the week, the Cowboys -16.5. It was a guarantee. It was over by halftime, just like I said. So that one felt good. Looking at your card, you went 3-2, so you're 28-22 overall, so 56%, so slight edge over me through 10 weeks. Your favorite was Indy -2.5. They got it done in the grossest game possible.
Yeah, terrible
Your
game.
dog of the week, Broncos +7.5. They won outright. Your total was the Packers Steelers under 39.5. That soared over. Your teaser was the Vikings +8.5. They won outright, but you also had Cincy -0.5, and they lost. And then your play of the week, Browns +6, they won outright. So both your dogs won outright, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm 54%, you're 56%. So feeling pretty good.
We finally didn't match each other on a week, dude. It's been unreal.
2-3,
just gone
2-3, 4-1,
stride
4-1.
for stride. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. But let's go takeaways from week 10. I think there was a lot around the league. First, I'll say I was right. The Bills suck. Ken Dorsey gets fired. I think they're in shambles there, and it's interesting. Like, they were just crowned too early. I was texting someone earlier, like, they just got crowned too early. Like, I said it the same thing last week, and I don't think they're a good football team. And I think it's going to be a tough hill for them to climb to make the playoffs. They have a tough remaining schedule. It's actually similar to Cincinnati. I have more confidence in Cincy, but I was right about the Bills. The Bears won. Shout out to the Bears in a game that didn't matter. And other than that, I mean, we could say what we've said all year. CJ Stroud's an elite quarterback, and the Texans have a fun future ahead of them. That Cincy game was interesting. Obviously, Tyler Wood hangs on to that ball, and we're talking a different talk, but it's interesting. Cincy's in a weird spot, and there's a lot of teams that, it's week 11 now, and people
it
kind of
doesn't get easier this week. Short week at Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like, if they lose this game.
Yep. But it's weird because, like, week 11 teams are solidifying themselves as, like, in the hunt and in the picture. And, like, there's some teams, like the Texans they're in the playoffs right now. And, there's teams like Pittsburgh and there's just some teams. So it's going to be weird how it shakes out. This is when the season gets really fun. Games get way more important. And, yes, it was a fun week. But what do you have from week 10?
I think the main one is just when you're looking at the NFC, like, the Niners are back. There was a couple weeks where we were like, okay, is Brock Purdy losing it? I think it just shows how important, Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams were back. We kind of missed that last week when we were looking at that game and that read. When this Niners offense is healthy and they have everybody, they're just so good. Brock Purdy plays clean. They're clicking. I mean, they looked so good. So, and I think it's time to evaluate Trevor Lawrence a little closer. The Jags have been winning games, so we haven't really paid attention, but he's kind of been pretty bad this year. but it's kind
He's
of
been
gone under the radar.
average. He's just been an average quarterback.
But it's like that's not, he's supposed to be the next 50, $60 million guy. And they were going to go as far as he's taken them with Doug Peterson. He's been very underwhelming so far. And so I think if they want to make a run, I think their defense is pretty good. They just ran into a buzzsaw last week. I think Trevor Lawrence has to wake up, and that's going to determine, heck, if the Jags win the division. Because if not, the Texans are coming. So if Trevor doesn't wake up, the Jags are in a world of trouble.
The AFC South has turned into like a good division.
Yep, Colts have been good. So yeah, it's been good. 3 out of 4 teams have been very, very competitive.
Yeah, it's been fun. But with that, let's move to the first game of the next week. Let's go to Thursday Night Football. That's going to be tomorrow. It's the best Thursday Night Football game we've had in a long time.
About time. When's the last primetime game we had that was great? We've got 2 of them this week.
Well, I think it was just the last 4
have been
specifically were been so bad.
Yeah.
And so it's like it feels like it's been a long time, but I mean, a couple weeks ago there were some decent primetime games. But I will say, as a Chicago Bears fan, the Bears have been on primetime too much. I'll say that. I mean, it's been nice for me.
Both New York teams, get them out.
Oh, yeah. But I will say, as a Bears fan, you get your heart broken a lot. To win on a Thursday, that's a good feeling. Because, you don't have to stress on Sunday, and it's a win. Like, it's a good feeling.
Yep.
There's a shot we get hot. Justin Fields is coming back. Anyways, let's jump to Thursday Night Football. We got the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Baltimore. Baltimore's favored by 3.5. Totals at 46. Stoney, I'll let you lead it off.
This is a game where like the trends in the spot to me just are drastically opposite, and I'm trying to weigh which one I value more because all the trends point towards the under and towards Cincy covering. But to me, I think that if there was going to be a primetime over, it would be this spot. And I think that Baltimore's in a really good spot in a short week to bounce back. Just looking at some of the trends, Cincinnati since 2021 on the road, when they're getting 3+, they're 9-0 against the spread. And in those 9 games, 7-2 to the under. Baltimore since 2019 at home laying -3 or more, 13-19 against the spread, 20-12 to the under. And if you're looking just since 2021, 6-11 against the spread, 11-6 to the under. Baltimore's 3-8 against the spread versus the division since 2019, as -3 favorites or more, and 1-6 since 2021. Cincinnati's 3-0 against the spread in that spot, getting 3 or more, and 4-0 against the spread as a dog overall. All the trends point to Cincy here. This does feel like a game where Baltimore probably wins by 2 or 3 points. So I think getting the 3.5, I would have to look towards Cincy. Don't know if I can make it one of my 5, just because I do think this is a great spot for Baltimore to get right on a short week. I think they're the better team. They have the better defense specifically here. And I always like the home team on Thursday nights. But getting Joe Burrow over a field goal, I would have to lean that way. I'm going to stay off the total. I know primetime unders have been killing it, but I actually would lean over in this game. I just think there's a chance Cincinnati's defense is very overrated. Baltimore puts up mid-20s, and Burrow's got a backdoor, and this game goes over. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with when I was looking at the trends, everything points to Cincy, and especially the under. I do like the under here. I think it's 2 teams that earlier in the year we saw like Cincy, we thought their offense clicked in this game when they played each other earlier, but Baltimore's been putting up points against people at will. They combined to have 60+ points last week. And I think there's a reason this isn't, a 49 or even a 47.5. It's at 46, under that key number. I like the under here.
Do you not just think that's because primetime unders, everybody knows about them? I think that's why it's down.
Well, I think it's primetime unders, but it's also like when these teams play
in the division, sure.
In the division, it screams under, especially in this division. Not only just divisional games go under, but in this division, unders crush. And there's a bunch of trends to that. And so it's kind of sad because it's like I want to watch this game, and I want it to be a really good game because I love watching Thursday night football. But it's like I'm probably going to be rooting for the under. But like I just want a good game. Like as
Yeah.
far as like enjoyment, it's like I don't really want to take the under. But you have to look at the under here. And as far, I think the line's where it should be. I think it's a bounce back spot for both teams, so it's like scary. It's like since he could come out and Joe Burrow could have like a master class, but I still think they would win by like 4. And then Baltimore, I just think it's going to be a tight game. I think both teams are hungry.
Yep.
Baltimore wants people to start talking about them as the best team in football again, and Cincy has no room for error. Like they don't have any room. So
If they
uh,
lose this game, they've got to be
yep,
practically perfect the rest of the season, or they're not getting in
yep.
because they don't have a
Um,
tiebreaker versus anybody right now. They just lost to the Texans. Like that's going to be a team that they could be fighting the 7th seed for.
Yep. Excited to watch it though.
Yep, great
Um,
game.
Next, we're not going to do Stoney's fantasy corner this week. Stoney, explain kind of what we're going to do moving forward.
Yeah, so since we've started to record on Wednesday nights, I thought about it and I was like, it makes no sense to do a waiver wire uh, portion of the show when the waiver wires already occurred for 90% of leagues. So what I'm going to do starting next week is every Monday, I'm going to put up an article, might stretch it into a 10-minute podcast depending on the week, but get something out to y'all on Monday. That way you can dive in and take a look at it before you got to put in the claims Monday night or Tuesday night in most leagues. So going to start doing that next week, but no fantasy corner this week. So we will get right into the Sunday slate.
Let's do it. Let's start with the Chargers at Lambeau playing the Pack. Pack's +3. Totals at 43.5. I'll go ahead and say it. After looking, I kind of looked at the board differently this week, and I probably shouldn't do that because I'm betting well. So I probably shouldn't have done that. But it's like I tried to look at what lines, like when I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, okay, if I was making this line, what would it be? Kind of like making a makeshift model in my head. I think this is a line that at first you're like, man, it's kind of short for the Chargers, but it seems about right, which makes me comfortable in saying that I really like the Chargers here. Like I'm not scared of like 3 points. I think that's probably where the line should be. So I don't think Vegas is trying to get one side heavier than the other. And Green Bay's just really bad. Like Green Bay's just not very good. Jordan Love is just not very good. They hung tight and made some plays on Sunday, but we can argue Pittsburgh's not that good of a team either. But yeah, I really like the Chargers here. Total feels low too, but that's because Chargers always feel low.
I guess I would agree. The total feels a tick low looking at it. I mean, it kind of just comes down to how much do you believe in Jordan Love. He did make some throws last week where I was like, okay, I think I've seen signs of improvement, but then he would just have moments where it's like it's the same guy that we've seen. So I think he's just kind of the X factor in this game, and I don't really know what I'm getting from him week to week. So it's going to be hard for me to put money on Green Bay in just any of their games one way or the other. I would lean Green Bay actually here, but I don't think I could play him at 3. I think the value was there when it was 4, 3.5, which is what it was, and it's come down to 3. So I can kind of see why the value would have shifted to the Chargers here at 3. So it's probably just a pass all around for me. It just kind of comes down to, do you believe that Jordan Love could get a backdoor here if the Chargers are up, you know, 9 late? Can Jordan Love go down the field and get you that touchdown? I don't know.
Right. Right. Yeah, Jordan Love sucks. Anyways, we'll move on to the next game. We got Titans at the Jags. Jags in a bounce back spot. It's at 7 right now. They're favored by 7. It was at 6.5 for a while. I think it just moved to 7 earlier today. Totals at 40.5. Divisional game at Jacksonville. I'll go ahead first. This is just a spot where you play the Titans. We've played the Titans a lot as a dog this year. It's just kind of what you do. It's worked out for us. Vrabel as a dog is really good, and Jacksonville's a good team. I think they got humbled last Sunday, so I do think they win the ball game. But it's a divisional game, and it's Vrabel as a dog, so it's just kind of what you do. You bet the Titans.
Yeah, I would agree. It's the Titans here for me. I think that Trevor Lawrence should have a nice little bounce back game. I think that you can attack the Titans secondary And so I do think that they're going to push the ball down the field, but I think this run defense will step up and force ETN to not have a very efficient day. And I think that Will Levis, he's definitely the concern when you're looking at this Titans team, but I do think that every game he should learn more and more. And so I think he gives us a better effort than what we got last Sunday. And so I think in this game, all the trends point towards the Titans at 7, which is such a key number. I do think Jacksonville wins this game, but I think 7 is just too many with the Jags offense really not showing a ton of explosiveness right now. I think 7's a lot in a divisional game. So with Mike Vrabel on the other side, I'm going to feel good about getting 7 points with the Titans here.
Yep. And I also, you got to think about, like, when we get into this part of the season, it turns into like our team's even motivated to play. But it's like Will Levis is starting at quarterback, so like they're still trying to win games with this kid.
Yep.
It's not like
We got to see what they have.
Yeah, we're not in like shutdown mode for a team like that. There are some teams that are in that. But,
and with the Jags, they could be looking at this week like, hey, we just need to win and get out of here. Like, it's not they don't really need to flex on the Titans. It's just it's going to be a low-scoring game, too. I kind of lean under, so I think that's why you would lean Titans also.
Yep. Next game, we'll go Raiders at Dolphins. Dolphins are favored by 12.5. Totals at 46. I'll be honest, when I was looking at the lines, I didn't even look at this game because, like, the Raiders have, like, a little bit of juice, whatever, like cigars in the locker room, Max Crosby's saying all this stuff, whatever. But it's like the Dolphins, when they play bad teams, they destroy them. So I don't really have a lean either way. If you're like a big believer in the Dolphins and when they like at home against a bad team, I like, looking at their team total, maybe just the over. But I don't really have a lean either way.
Yeah, nope, you just said it. I like Miami, and I like their team total over even more than the spread. So you mentioned it at the end. I think that's the way I would play this game if you would play it in any way. I think their team total on FanDuel's 29.5 right now. I like that. They've scored 31 plus in every home game this year. And I think this is a spot where I wanted to fade the Raiders last week. Couldn't really do it directly because Zach Wilson was on the other side, so I took their under for the offense. But if the Dolphins come out off a bye, they've got A-Chain back. I think Tyreek and Waddle are both going to play, so they've got all the speed and all the fun toys that Mike McDaniel can use to scheme up some easy looks for Tua.
Sure.
If the Dolphins get up like 14-0 in this game and Aiden O'Connell's got to sit back there and throw, I think that's a disaster waiting to happen. Could be a short field or two for Miami. So I would lay it with Miami under 14, but the preferred look in this game would be Miami's team total over. Just because I don't really know what I'm getting from the Miami defense still. So that's where I like their offense to bounce back in a big way. Tyreek might go for like 200. It's just going to be a big Miami game.
Yep. It's going to be all Miami. Next game, let's go Dallas at Carolina Panthers. Panthers are favored by 10.5. The total's at 41. I don't have much to say on this game. It's another one of those games, one of the big spreads that I kind of didn't really pay attention to. Apparently, there's some stat about Frank Reich off a bye. Apparently, I couldn't find it, but maybe he's really good off a bye. Either way, Panthers are very bad. Their offense is so bad. So I think it's another game where Dallas jumps out early, but I wouldn't want to play. I wouldn't want to play 10.
Yeah, well, I think I saw Frank Reich is also taking over the play calling duties again. So it's just like they're kind of a mess right now. They, when I looked at this line, I actually did want to back the Panthers, as gross as it sounds. I think this is kind of a sandwich spot for Dallas. They flexed on the Giants last week, and they've got a short week coming up. Big Thanksgiving game against the Commanders, which is always close. And so I think this is a spot where Dallas is not going to go in there and try to win by 30. This is kind of a get in, get out with a win. So I think 10.5 on the road here is too much. When you look at what the Cowboys have done on the road, they haven't been super impressive. They killed the Giants week 1, but outside of that, they lost to San Fran, Philly, and Arizona on the road and only beat the Chargers by 3. So I don't think you can really trust Dallas to be laying double digits right now on the road just from what we've seen. So as gross as it sounds, I would lean Carolina here. don't know if I'll have the balls to do it, but that's where I'm at with this game. This is not a spot. Last week was the spot to take Dallas. This is not the spot to lay double digits with Dallas. If anything,
Yeah.
just stay off or take Carolina if you've got the courage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's disgusting. Next game, we'll go Arizona Cardinals travel to the Houston Texans. The Texans are favored by just 4.5, and the total is at 48.5. This is a game that me and you, we share a lot of opinions, but we also disagree wholeheartedly on the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, we do.
You've always been more of a Kyler backer. I think Kyler sucks. So obviously, you don't want to back a trendy Texans team with CJ Stroud. We said that last week, though. In the a short line at 4.5 against a bad
Imagine it
Cardinals team.
continued. Yep.
Yeah, and that's not the spot you want to be at. It's going to be super, super public. This could be one of the bigger like. I think they could have like 80% of the bets this week, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't want to back the Cardinals just because like I don't think Kyler's that good. Like yeah, whatever last week, but yeah, I don't want to touch this game. It's a pass for me.
Yeah, I like the Cardinals and I like the over. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. I think this is going to be back and forth, Stroud, Kyler shootout. I don't really think either defense is going to offer up much resistance. Houston's a little bit better against the pass. Cardinals are a little bit better against the run. However, Arizona's got James Conner back, so I think they're going to be able to run the ball. Stroud's going to be able to air it out. I would just lean getting the 4.5 points here because I do trust Kyler can get a backdoor late. Even if Houston dominates this game and they're up 10 with 3 minutes to go, I think Kyler would get that cover for me, and I like the over. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be very similar to Texans-Bengals. I just think that we're not fully baking in Kyler when it comes to this Cardinals team, and I still think their defense really stinks. So I think Stroud will get his. My preferred look in this game would be the over, even at 48.5.
I like it. Would never play it, but I like it. Next game, we got Steelers at the Browns. Now, we saw this move a lot. Deshaun Watson, Dunzo.
And out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like he took all those weeks off, and honestly, to me, it was like, is Deshaun hurt, or is it like okay, we're trying to see what we have with someone else? And I mean, he was hurt, like season ending. I saw something where the GM for the Browns said, I think he had a fractured. Was it the shoulder that was fractured? Then he had maybe like an ankle also that was hurt. Like he was playing with two different injuries.
High sprain ankle and then broken bone and shoulder, I believe.
Yeah, it's like he got me my cover last week, so shout out, going out like a true hero.
It was the best half of football he played all year.
Yeah, he was 14 for 14 with like 140 yards and a touchdown. Played great after a pretty bad first half. So this Browns team is like kind of defeated because you come off that game and it's like we just beat the Ravens. Here we go. But at the same time, I don't know what to make of Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh is looking like a lock for the playoffs at this point, and I don't even feel like they've played good football. That's what's scary. Like I don't trust Kenny Pickett, so obviously you want to back Mike Tomlin as a dog, not as much on the road, but and then obviously a letdown spot for the Browns, especially with Deshaun out. But I don't really like either side, but if I had to, I might go Steelers.
I would probably. This game's tough. Yeah, I mean, it was at 4. You kind of had to lean towards Pittsburgh with all the trends. Tomlin as a field goal or greater dog, but all that's out the window. I still think the identity of this Browns team is running the football and playing defense. And at home, I still think that, yes, Deshaun's going to be a big blow, but it's early in the week. I would probably take the Browns here in a suppressed money line. They're only at -1.5 right now, so money line's probably going to be -120, -130 at most books. I would probably lean towards the Browns if I had to play something, but I saw they're going to start DTR, the rookie out of UCLA. Not a big enough sample size for me to bet on, so I'm going to pass the game.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing you can do. Coming in, it was one of those kind of okay, we got to look at Pittsburgh here, but now at 1.5, you kind of have to pass it. The next game features the NFL passing leader. How about that, Sam Howell,
And the worst team in football.
and the worst team in football. We've got the Commanders hosting the Giants. Commanders are favored by 9.5. Total is at 36. That's how bad the Giants are. There are dogs by 9.5 points, and the total is only 36 points. I would lean Giants here just because it's a lot of points in a divisional game, and I would lean the under. Just playing off of standard, no special trends, because you kind of have to. And I don't think the Commanders are that good, anyways. But I don't feel strongly about it.
It's crazy what a difference of 3 weeks makes. 3 weeks ago, I took the Giants plus 2.5 at home
Mm-hmm.
as my dog of the week, and they won outright against Washington 14-7 with Tyrod Taylor. 3 weeks later, Washington's laying 9.5. But I would still lean towards Washington here. I said it last week. After last week, I truly believe it. I think Brian Daboll knows that this DeVito kid is not their best chance to win. I do not think he wants to win football games. I think this is the worst team in football. They've been outscored, 79-23 over the last 2 weeks. I would lean Washington. I think if you faded the Giants for the rest of the season, it would be profitable. I might do it every week. I haven't decided, but I think it's just not going to matter. I think that at some point, if we were getting double digits here with the Giants, maybe, but under 10, I'm still leaning Washington.
I don't think I could do that with that team, but
Sam
good
Howell's
for
been
you.
good, man.
Hey, Sam Howell! Shout out to the props last week, dude.
if
Sam Howell.
if they get to 24 points, I think they're covering 9.5. That's just how I feel
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Next game, we got another divisional game. Unfortunately, I will be tuned into this game. We've got the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields is back. Apparently, he is worth 2 points because the Lions are now favored by 8.5. It was I believe it opened at 10. It might have been more than that. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Well, I also think there was kind of the probability he was going to play. I think he's worth more than that. I just think it was kind of 50-50. So I'd say he's probably
Yeah.
worth 4 or 5. But
The total's at 47.5. A lot of points in this game. Gonna check my ego and my bias, and I think the Lions probably roll here. I think Justin Fields might make some plays early, and it might be a closer game early, but I don't think we're well coached enough to handle a team like the Lions. And I might, bet our money line, just have some fun, but I think the Lions probably roll.
yeah, the Lions are on a crazy streak against the division. When it comes to against the spread, they're 7-0 in their last 7 against the division, and they're 11-2 against the spread since 2021. Yeah, I think the value was on the Bears here at 10. If you got that early in the week, thinking Fields was going to be coming back, congratulations, you got a couple points of value. Now, is it? Did you say 8 or 8.5?
8.5.
Yeah, I would still lean towards the Bears here. I think that at 8, that's probably where it flips to the Lions, but I would lean towards the over in this game. I think that the Lions find a way to get to 30. I think Goff at home is playing really, really well. And I do think Fields, weirdly good and bad, will do enough to either make a bonehead mistake or two and set up the Lions for a short field, but I think he can extend plays with his legs, have a couple of big plays to DJ Moore to where the Bears can find a way to get to 17 or 20, and I think that'll be enough to push this game over. But yeah, I would probably – it's close. At 8.5, I would probably just take the Lions down to 2.5 and a teaser is probably what I'd do for this game. But I would lean over.
Yeah. I'm just excited to watch the kid again.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
excited
it'll be
for
a
him
fun
to get on
game.
the field.
I really do think there's going to be points.
Next game, we got the Bucks coming off a win at San Fran. San Fran's favored by 11.5 right now. Total's at 41.5. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm going to save some things for later. but this is San Fran all day, every day. This team came off the bye with vengeance. They dropped 3 in a row after being the best team to ever play football for a couple weeks. And this team has a tight locker room. And I heard an interview with Christian McCaffrey. He talked about how they came off that bye. And this is a really good team. They got Chase Young. It's weird to say, but the pass rush was kind of lacking, and then obviously some explosiveness with Debo and Trent Williams. There was just some holes in this team, and like every NFL roster is talented. It's not just like the 49ers have a great roster. It's like all these teams have great rosters. So if you have holes, they're going to be exploited in. And I think they just went through a couple weeks where they had some holes and people took advantage. And I think that's scary for the rest of the league because they could start clicking now and they could roll through the playoffs. But it's all San Fran, and there's so many trends to back them at home.
Yeah, San Fran's been good at home. Their offense has specifically been really good. So I know you like the spread here. I would look more towards the team total of San Fran going over. I think they score 30 plus here. But yeah, I like San Fran's offense and probably don't think Baker keeps up against the upgraded pass rush. I know Baker's always struggled against pressure, so I like where your head's at there.
Yep. Next game, I think we have one of about 3 lines this week that make everybody go, this doesn't make sense. And we've got the Seahawks traveling to the Rams. Rams are dogs by a point at home, and totals at 46.5. The Seahawks, I think, continue to win games because I do think they have a good culture, and Pete Carroll is one of the best coaches of all time. But I don't want people to get wrapped up in the Seahawks team as a really good team. I think they are able to win the games. They're going to be competitive in every game, but I think the public's going to hammer Seattle here. And it's one of those lines where it's like the Rams aren't that good. Why are they only 1-point dogs? And that's why I lean heavy to the Rams this week.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Stafford's back. So I think that would make sense to why this is at least under a field goal. But yeah, I do think that people are just going to see, winning record Seattle at losing record Rams. Why are the Seahawks essentially a pick 'em here? It's really just going to come down to how healthy Stafford is. He was a full participant in practice today, so he should be pretty close to 100%. And I think that that's the only way they will win this game is through the air with Kupp and Puka. We saw what they did to the Seahawks week 1. They dominated them. Stafford threw for 330. Puka had like 150. Kupp wasn't even playing in that game. So yeah. I do think we've seen it before. This Rams passing offense can beat Seattle. That's probably the only thing to me that would make this line not feel super weird is that we've already seen the Rams kill the Seahawks. So if people do pull up the public bettors, they're just like, oh, like let's see what these teams have done this year. Like they're like, oh, the Rams won at Seattle. So that'd be the only reason I don't think this line is super weird. But
I just think it's like 1 point for a team like that. The public perception is that the Seahawks are a good team and the Rams are not. It's sure. 1 point.
Yeah, they have the Seahawks a lot closer to the Lions and Cowboys than they should. I don't disagree. So yeah. I'd probably lean over in this game because I think if you like the Rams, you like their offense here. So I'd probably lean over.
I like it. Next game, we have one of my 3 least favorite teams in the league. The Buffalo Bills are hosting the Jets. And I say that I like Josh Allen. I think he's a good guy. So I hate saying that. But the Bills are favored again by 7 to the Jets. I told myself every time the Bills were favored by 7 or 8, I was going to play the other side. Don't think I can with this Jets team because we've seen it 50 times in the last 3 weeks on primetime. Zach Wilson's really bad. This team's really bad. The only excitement around the Jets is Aaron Rodgers a robot and going to come back from an Achilles tear? That's the only excitement. Like people literally want the Jets to win so that Aaron Rodgers has a reason to come back.
Yeah.
It's like if they keep losing, yeah. But it's like, but it is the Bills at another bounce back spot. And I think the only thing that's scary about that is Ken Dorsey's gone, and so the offense might look a little different. So that's
That's
the only
exactly
part where it's like, okay, maybe it was the play calling, and now Josh Allen gets unleashed and they win by 27 points. It's the only part that's scary.
Yep. No, you nailed it on the head. I think this was another spot where you fade the Bills, but it's like, okay, they fired the OC. I don't care if it really was the OC's fault or not. To me, I think the Bills offense can look at it and say, okay, guys, this is a reset. Like, let's forget everything that's happened. Let's look at Josh Allen, ask him what he wants to do. I saw Dan Orlovsky had a great piece on their lack of motion pre-snap. He
Yeah,
really
yeah,
dove
saw that.
into it. So I think this Bills offense can be fixed. That's the only reason I'm not on the Jets here, is just because I think you could see a drastic change from the Bills week to week here. If you've got, I don't know who's taking over. I'd assume it's like their quarterback coach or something, but maybe just Josh Allen walks in and he's like, hey, I want to do this, this, and this. Ken Dorsey wasn't allowing it. Maybe they run some more of that stuff. So I'm just going to pass this game. Weirdly, if there actually was a week to take the Bills, I probably talked myself into them just because they did lose to the Jets week 1. That's got to piss Josh Allen off every week. So I do think the Bills bounce back and win. I don't know if they cover 7, so I'll pass.
Yeah. The interim offensive coordinator is actually Joe Brady, who was
Okay. He was the
Burrow's
LSU
college guy. Yeah.
and then Carolina
Yeah.
I think he was their OC. So
Yeah. Next game we got Vikings at the Broncos. Am I saying this correct? That's Sunday Night Football. I
yep.
guess. Dude, another Broncos primetime game, which it's fine. They're turning into a little frisky team. I think Sean Payton,
They've
his
beaten the
culture is
Chiefs and Bills back to back.
yeah. The Broncos are favored by 2.5. It is moving that direction. I even saw 1.5 on somewhere the other day, and then it was at 2. Now it's at 2.5.
Yeah.
Total's at 42.5. I'll lean Vikings here just because I still don't fully believe in this Denver team. Russell Wilson has looked a lot better, but I think this Vikings team as a whole is a little bit better. Now Josh Dobbs, it's one of those he's got to come back down to earth at some point.
Yeah.
But it's fun to it's fun to imagine. But yeah, I would lean Vikings here just because I honestly think Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach. I
Yes.
do. I think he's a very good coach. So I trust him over Sean Payton in a little bit of a letdown spot in the Broncos.
Yeah, no, I'm going to disagree. I like Denver here. I think the line tells you to bet Denver. I think that everybody wants to be on the Vikings. I think they're going to be in everyone's teasers. I think we have to take a step back. Now, maybe he does it 3 weeks in a row. Josh Dobbs looks great again. He's 2-9 straight up as a starter.
Mm.
And it's just when you sit on that one for a second, it just doesn't give you much confidence to back the Vikings here. Primetime spot. And I think that Denver, what they're doing is going super under the radar. People are looking at it as the story coming out of these games is what was wrong with the Chiefs, what is wrong with the Bills.
Yeah.
And I think a little bit of it needs to be, hey, Russell Wilson's put together quietly a decent little year. Sean Payton's starting to get better production out of him. This defense, since the Miami game, has really turned it around.
That's true, yeah.
There were people that were high on Denver coming into the year. Their win total was 8.5, 9. This is a team that was supposed to be pretty good. They've got pieces. I like Denver here in prime time. I think they get it done. I like them under 3. I think this is going to be a public dog. I like Denver here under 3. I really like them.
I like that take, yeah. I do think Denver's kind of turning around, and I think at the beginning of the year, people were waiting on Sean Payton and Russell Wilson to also not work, and people just blame Russell Wilson.
They just hit Miami. They hit rock bottom, and it's just since then they've been quiet. They've gone to work, and I think they've kind of caught people by surprise. This is another team I think just people want to take the Vikings. They won 5 straight. I think they've covered all 5. It's a public team right now. I like Denver to stay under the radar and keep it going here.
Yeah. Next game, man. I am literally so excited for this game.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those football games where like right before kickoff, I'm gonna be sitting there and I'm gonna be like, "This is why I like sports." You know, the rematch from the Super Bowl, the best like quarterback maybe ever, and then the Philadelphia Eagles, who are one of the best teams in the league, and just a culture. And you got the Kelsey brothers. Like it's gonna be, dude. It's gonna be all time. And we've got the Eagles traveling to Kansas City. Kansas City's favored by 2.5. Totals at 45. I'll get mine out of the way because I know, um, you're probably going to throw some Mahomes trends over there. And listen, I get it. Totally understand. I don't want to fade Mahomes, dude. Like I'm not a like Mahomes fan. Obviously, I have a lot of people in my life that are Chiefs fans, but I like Mahomes. But this just feels like a game Philly wins for some reason. I can't like figure out a read, but it feels like a game where Kansas City hasn't dominated, in a little bit. Obviously, they dominated us in like week 3, but Mahomes kind of figured it out against the Chargers offensively. Obviously they handled a good Dolphins team, but it just feels like a game where the Eagles win. Eagles are the best team in football after this week, and it's like, oh, Mahomes' offense, they can't figure it out. And then by playoff time, Mahomes is back. But that's my read on the game. But I don't know. I'm excited for it, man.
Yeah, going to be an awesome game. Yeah, usually I have no problem pulling the trigger on KC under 3. I'm still probably going to take him just because I think it's one of those things that if you take Mahomes under 3 until he retires, you're going to make money overall. So probably just going to do it out of principle. But, you know, Philly's got a lot of motivation here. Lost in the Super Bowl, and they've kind of been, marking this game for a long time. I think it's awesome. Both teams are coming off a bye. This is going to be probably the game of the year so far in the NFL. Looking at trends, yeah, it does lean towards Kansas City here. Philly's only 5-7-1 against the spread on the road since 2022, but they are 11-2 straight up. So it's like short spread. They've only been an underdog once since 2022, and Hurts didn't play. So that's kind of crazy to think about. So we don't really have much data on Philly as a trend, as a dog,
That
and all
is
they do is
crazy.
win.
Yeah.
And Mahomes is 35-8 in his career at home, and you only need him to win by 3 here. So it's going to be a great game. I would lean towards KC just because, like I said, you take Mahomes at 3 or less every time, but it's going to be a great game. I can't fault you, especially if it got to 3. I can't fault you for liking Philly.
Yeah. I don't think it will get to 3. I think it's going to sit at 2.5. I think it
Probably
got to
not.
3 once and quickly got back down to 2.5.
Yeah.
But that is the slate for week 11. And now let's jump to the head-to-head draft. All right. For those of you who might be listening for the first time, I will quickly go through. This is a 5/4 round head-to-head draft of 5 categories. It's our dog of the week, our favorite of the week, our favorite of the week, our favorite teaser of the week, and our favorite total of the week, and then lastly, our play of the week. And we switch off each week on who goes first. Obviously, our plays of the week are last. We have talked about them beforehand. This week, I am up first. I'll be honest, I feel pretty good about where I'm at as far as this board. Some weeks you open up the app and it's like, it's tough. But this week I felt pretty good. So my first pick, I feel like we do this every week, but I'm gonna go ahead and get my teaser out of the way,
Okay.
like we do. My first leg.
Hold it real quick. I thought it was a tough teaser week.
The last couple have been pretty tough. I have
Yeah.
one leg that I feel good about. I feel better about it now. It's going to be Pittsburgh, and it's
Yeah.
going to
Okay.
be plus 7.5. I
Yeah.
thought about it even with Deshaun, but that's one of the few teasers that you can get to a key number. and
Mm-hmm.
I feel good about it there. I thought about going to Minnesota
Yep.
at 2.5 again. Um, that is something that I kind of want to do, but I can't do it. So I'm going to be a little biased here, and I'm going to go to Detroit. I'm going to take Chicago in a divisional game
Wow.
where you can grab 14.5, another key number. I think with Justin Fields coming back, um, quietly, this Chicago team has played better defense. And I know it's like the Panthers' offense is terrible, but Matt Eberflus, listen, I hope he gets fired to the moon, to the sun. But he slowly has this defense playing better. Montez Sweat was a big addition. I think with Justin Fields, they can put up some points. And divisional game, you play the dog in divisional game, so I'll go Chicago with my first pick or with my teaser.
I'm not gonna lie. I was considering taking the Lions with my teaser, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's some strategy there. That's all
I
I'll
don't
say.
know if we. I'm not gonna. I don't think I want to try and middle that one. All right. Yeah, I like the Steelers there. I think that's a good leg. The Bears,
Hey, I'm
I,
undefeated when I've taken the Bears in my teasers. That's all I'm gonna say.
hey, fair enough.
Done it
For
twice.
my first teaser, I know that you like another aspect of this game, but I specifically like a team total. Didn't love a whole lot of totals this week. Leaned toward a couple overs, but
Hmm.
I'm going to go to another team total here. One with the Raiders last week. I'm going to look at the San Francisco 49ers team total over 26 and a half. It's as simple as this. I'm going to read you the amount of points scored in Brock Purdy's started home games in the regular season since he's taken over.
Hall of Famer.
30, 33, 35, 37, 38 was last year. This year, 30, 35, 42. And the only one they've gone under was against the Bengals, 17 before the bye. So he's gone over in every game but one. I think they're going to score 30 plus here again. I think this Bucs defense, we saw what CJ Stroud did to them a couple weeks ago. I think they've got leaks in the back end. I think that Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams being healthy for this offense is everything. I think this one's easy. I think getting it under at 26 and a half, just needed them to score 27, which is a pretty key number. 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. I think they get there no problem. So I really, really like this one. One of my favorite plays of the entire board. So for my favorite total, I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers over 26 and a half points to start off my head-to-head card. Looking at the next pick, I'm going to go ahead and take my teaser as well. I need to see where this one line is because this line's been moving like crazy throughout the day. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's a weird teaser week. So I usually tell people tease, over 3 and over 7, 2 key numbers. Dogs tease up above 7, favorites under 3. But it's a weird week, so I'm having to get unconventional here. For my first teaser leg, I'm gonna take the Miami Dolphins down from 12.5 to 6.5. You are getting it under 7, which is a key number. I like Miami's offense to bounce back here, and I think that they're going to run away. They're going to put up something in the 30s, maybe get to 40, and I don't think that Aiden O'Connell will be able to keep up. So for my first leg, it's just as simple as that, a brain play on the Dolphins scoring 30, 40 points this week. And for the second one, I'm going to go to a game that I think is going to be a back and forth type of shootout. I'm going to take the Cardinals up to 10.5 here. I think that this Texans team, they're really fun. They're good on offense, and I do think Stroud is going to get his. I trust Kyler to keep this within single digits here. So getting over 10, I really, really like that leg. And so for my teaser, I'm going to go Dolphins minus 6.5, Cardinals plus 10.5.
Yeah, I figured you would go. I figured you would go Arizona there. I like Miami too. I didn't quite consider that, but I like it. For my next two plays, I'm going to go with two plays that um, just make sense to me. One of them, I talked about it. It's a fishy line to me, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to take for my dog of the week. I'm going to take the Rams +1.
Love it.
I feel like that's the right side. Obviously we're trying to be on the right side of all these games. I think this is where the sharp money comes in. I think everybody that's looking at, I think there's going to be a million bro parlays on Sunday that have Seattle money line in it. That's going to be in every single parlay. And the last 6 times the Rams have played the Seahawks, they're 6-0 against the spread. So Sean McVay has something figured out. Matt Stafford's back, like you said. Week 1, obviously the Rams won, and I think it's a good look. And in the last couple years, in against the spread in the division, Rams are 10-7. Seattle's just 6-9. So there's a couple trends that lean that way. Plus the line, I think the Rams are on the right side, so that's gonna be my dog of the week. My favorite's a game we talked about early on. Um, there's a couple favorites that I considered. Honestly, when I first looked at it, the Browns were something I considered,
Yeah.
and it was anti-trends. But I'm gonna go with the second game we talked about. I'm gonna go with the Chargers -3. I think this
Wow.
line, there's nothing, that scares me about taking this. If it was Chargers -1.5, Chargers even -2, I'd be like, but they're getting a field goal here, and I think the line's where it should be. And I think the Chargers are better than the Packers. I think the Packers are not a good football team, masked by some good wins earlier in the season, and I think they maybe a little overvalued. I think the Chargers roll here. Justin Herbert plays well against this Packers defense, and they jump out early and stay ahead. So I'm going to go Chargers -3 for my favorite.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Yeah, it's a weird game to me, so I'll be rooting for the Chargers there for you. I won't have any action myself personally. Looking at these two are tough. My favorite and dog, and I like a couple options here. Man, for my favorite, it's between Denver and Kansas City. I really like both games. I've got more trends with Kansas City, but my brain likes the Broncos a little more. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take the Chiefs here -2.5. I'm gonna stick to what I believe in, which is taking Mahomes under 3 every time. I think it'll work out for you. He's 26-1 now at -3 or less in his career, 35-8 at home for his career, and they're 8-3 at -2.5 or less at home since 2021. Put it simply, Mahomes wins, and he wins a lot. Coming off a bye, Andy Reid is one of the best coaches in NFL history. I think that as much as Philly's going to get up for this game, I think Kansas City, I think the bye week did them a lot of good offensively. I think that they were trying to figure out some things on the fly. I think they needed a bye week worse than people realized. I think that you're going to see people were like, yeah, I mean, this offense has kind of looked this way this whole year. I think pre-bye and post-bye Chiefs offense, we might look back in a couple weeks and say, man, they really took a step forward after the bye. I think their offense gets right here, and I think they put up a more of a traditional 27-30 that we're used to seeing out of Mahomes, and I think they get the job done here. And I think their defense remains underrated. Jalen Hurts has been shaky himself this year. I like the Chiefs to get it done -2.5 as my favorite this week. Looking at the dogs, I thought about Arizona, but decided I liked them in a teaser more. Thought about the Jets a little bit, but I think I've decided to stay on the sidelines for this game. I'm going to look towards Thursday night football, and I'm going to take the Bengals +3.5.
Wow.
This is just a spot where I'm like, hey, I think this is Cincinnati's entire season. And I think Joe Burrow knows that. I think everybody knows that. And the trends are fantastic to Cincy. I read all of them to you earlier. I'll just go back to Cincy since 2021 on the road, getting 3+. They're 9-0 against the spread. I mean, that is an incredible stat. They literally 100%. 9-game sample, which is pretty large. Joe Burrow back against the wall. I think he's the better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think this is a 50-50 game. Someone's going to win on a game-winning field goal. That's just how this game feels. Division game could be a little lower scoring, which is what you like. I like Cincy plus 3.5 here. Season on the line. I'm riding with Joe Burrow once again after he let me down. This is the spot to take him as a dog. Give me the Bengals plus 3.5.
Wow. I like it. I mean, the trends point that way. You talked about it to start the show.
Yep.
Everything says Cincy in this game. And buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because we've got a twofer on Thursday Night Football. With my total of the week, I am gonna go under in that Cincy Baltimore game. And here's some trends. I know you kind of alluded to it, but the under is 12-4 in Baltimore's last 16 divisional games. The under is 12-6 in their last 18 as home favorites. And here's the big one. The under is 22-10 in their last 32 as a favorite in general for Baltimore. And Cincinnati as a dog, the under is 13-4. So every single trend you want to look at, because I knew that the trends would lean that way, and I understand it. This could definitely be a 23-21 game, and someone kicks a field goal to win the game, like you just said. But I looked at it and I was like, oh, not just there's some good trends. Like every trend is like under in this game.
Yeah.
AFC North unders are crazy. Primetime unders are insane. Thursday Night Football, it's an under machine. So I'm gonna lean on the trends. If this game ends up being a shootout and we get to watch a really good game, I'm gonna be like, okay, whatever. I played the trends and I was on the right side, but I'm gonna go with my total of the week. I'm gonna go Baltimore and Cincy under 46. That's what it's at right now.
Yep.
So little twofer on Thursday Night Football.
It's going to be
what happens.
early graphic week. Got to get the graphic out before Thursday
That's
night.
when we know it's a good primetime game. And my play of the week, my last play for the head-to-head draft. We talked about it. You talked about it. It's going to be San Fran minus 11.5. That's what it's at right now. They host the Bucks, and I've said some things on some past episodes about the Bucks, like how they're a little bit better than I thought they were going to be, but they're still not a great football team. We've seen holes all season, and San Fran, like we talked about last week, was a get back right game, and they're back. Brock Purdy looked fantastic. They're healthy. They're off a bye. Everything clicked. They dominated a really good Jags team, and so it's like, oh, it might be a bounce back spot or like a letdown spot for San Fran. But at home, they're 16-7 against the spread at home in their last 23 games. They're 21-11 after a win against the spread. 15-6 in their last 21 as a home favorite. 12-2 as a home favorite since last year. I mean, everything points San Fran at home. It's we talked about it earlier this year. Kyle Shanahan at home dials it up, and they hammer teams. It's similar to the read you had last week with the Cowboys. I think a superior team like San Fran gets the job done. So my play of the week is going to be San Fran minus 11.5.
Yeah, I mean that's some really strong trends there, so I can't hate it at all. I'll be backing their offense heavily, so I'll be with you there on San Fran. Love it. For my play of the week, it feels gross. This team burned me last week, but this is just it's a play that you take every time, and you'll be profitable over the long term, which is what we're trying to do here. I'm going to take the Titans plus 7. And I know that if you watch Will Levis this week, you're like, man, how are you going back to him? This is a spot where you take Mike Vrabel. He's 16-9-1 against the spread as a road dog of 3+, 5-1 against the spread in that spot versus the division, and he's won 4 out of the 5 games that he's covered. as 3+ point dogs. Jacksonville is only 1-5 against the spread as a home favorite since 2021. This is just a spot where I'm going to make Trevor Lawrence prove to me that he's still that guy, because I've got a lot of doubts about the offense and the explosiveness of it. I think Mike Vrabel can still cook up a good defensive game plan. I think they stuff the run here. I think the secondary, as long as they can hang in there, Calvin Ridley's kind of been hit or miss this year. They really haven't had him as their go-to guy that like they thought they would. I think Derrick Henry can run on this Jaguars defense. I think Will Levis plays a little bit better than he did Sunday. This is going to be a low gross scoring game. I just need Will Levis to probably get to 16 points here, and I think we get it done. Gross pick, but for my play of the week, I'm taking the Titans +7. All the trends back it. Divisional dog. This is a play that you want to take.
Love it. That wraps up the head-to-head draft for Week 11. How are we feeling, Stoney?
Yeah, we're feeling good. It was a slate that I looked at it, and I had a bunch of leans, a bunch of likes, but it was just kind of deciphering through it, looking at the trends. I've started to use trends a lot more in the last month or two as we've been doing prep for this show. But then it's also like, are the trends everything? What is my brain telling me? So kind of learning the past month or two, hey, is this a spot where I just blindly back the trends? Is this a spot where I lean towards, using my brain? So it's been good to kind of work through that. We're still new at this. We're improving. I think we're learning each week, which is exciting. But no, I think we landed on the plays we like. We're both in on San Fran this week, so that'll go well, of course. But yeah, this is good. I'm excited.
No, yeah. In the long run, we're trying to be profitable, right? We'd love to go 5-0 every week, but in the long run, we're trying to find that balance of trends, having feel for the season, having feel for the league. That's what's important. And like Stoney said to start the show, 56% and 54%. Again, Stoney, you're the math guy, but I think over the long term, you would make money.
That's correct.
At those numbers,
52-53%, you got to be above. So we're both in the green right now. It's good. This is our first year doing this. We're only going to get better. It's a long season. The NFL is a grind. There's going to be good weeks, bad weeks. Stick to the course. Trust yourself, and it'll work out in the long run.
Yeah, we will have some write-ups towards Sunday. Maybe some props that we'll add in. Maybe a couple bets we didn't exactly mention that maybe some lines move and we grab them, some write-ups for that. So be on the lookout for that. Excited about Week 11, especially Monday night. Thursday night football is going to be awesome. We got some good primetime games. Going to continue to learn a lot about this league. And as always, we will be back next Wednesday with Week 12.
Thanks again for being a part of the Auto Fade podcast family. Stoney and the Kid appreciate your support.